What's up guys, Van here from McMerwe Farms, and today we're talking about 5 aquarium myths. So let's start with the most obvious myth, which states that fish only have a 3-second memory or a very short memory. Scientists disproved this by adding fish to an aquarium and fed them in one corner for multiple days. They were then removed and added to a separate aquarium for 12 days. After this, they were added back to the first aquarium, and by using motion sensing software, the scientists determined that the fish spent more time in the corner that they were fed in previously. The second myth is that fish will grow to the size of the aquarium they are in. While there is some truth to this, they will most likely die before they reach maturity. You see, it's actually not the size of the tank alone that limits their growth, but the added ammonia due to dirty water, the stress they go through when being confined in such a small place, and a few other factors that might give them their deformities or growth abnormalities. Their organs will most likely grow larger than what their bodies can handle. The sad part here is that most fish store owners will tell you that you can keep a certain fish in a certain tank size. My advice to you is to be careful with what fish owners say, because many of them just want to make a quick buck or two. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of knowledgeable fish owners out there, but you need to do your own research as well. The fish that is mostly affected by this myth is the common pleco or algae eater, as mostly referred to by pet store owners. They need at least 300 liters to 500 liters depending on how big your filtration is. Some would argue that 300 liters is still too small, and I would totally agree. So please do research before you buy fish. It's also our responsibility to speak up when we see this happening, but always try to approach that person in a friendly way. Being rude will most likely just make that person ignore you or just be angry. So once again, remember to do your own research before buying fish. This brings me to my third myth, which states that I read it on the internet. Guys, the internet is large and has got tons of information available, but be careful where you get your information from. If it's on a forum type group, you don't know the other person giving you advice. It can be a young child or even a person who has only kept fish for a few months. Rather get a trusted source and don't believe it just because you read it somewhere online. The fourth myth is that you need bubbles in your aquarium. This is not true. Before I explain why, we should understand the difference between air and oxygen. Humans and animals need oxygen, not necessarily air. So when you run an air line that creates bubbles in your tank, you are actually running air that is most commonly only 20% oxygen. Most of that oxygen does not even exchange with the water. You only need to break the surface of the water to allow oxygen exchange. The majority of these bubbles will only exchange oxygen when they break the surface of the water. So having something like a wave maker or a filter that breaks the water surface should be sufficient, as it will allow enough gas exchange, and in this case oxygen to enter the water and CO2 to exit the water. And finally guys, the last myth. Using cycled water means you can add fish immediately. This is not true. The reason you have to cycle a new tank in the first place is to create beneficial bacteria inside of your filter, so that the bacteria can break down the ammonia into ammonium, the ammonium into nitrites, and finally the nitrites into nitrates. Water from an existing tank or an established tank has almost no beneficial bacteria, because the majority of the bacteria is in the filter, on your substrate, on your plants, and not in the water. The old water might contain ammonia, ammonium, nitrite, and nitrate, and these can assist with creating bacteria faster in your filter than just cycling the tank with clean water. But you still need to cycle the tank for a couple of weeks. Okay guys, so which myths did you believe? Please tell me in the comments down below. But that's it for this video guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do, but if it was awesome, get subscribed, press that like button, and check out our other videos. I hope you guys learned something today, and as always, keep it shrimple.